Hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Storm Talk. Meteorologist Brian Good here on this Friday evening, filling in for Kevin once again, who will be back around the new year briefly. So you're stuck with me for another week coming up for next week. Do want to mention real quick, gotta love these lovely gingerbread Twix. I posted about this on Facebook, and I'm lucky I have a whole bag that I get to enjoy at some point here for tonight. And, in case you're wondering what the Twix thing is all about, rumor has it that the more Twix I eat, the more I forecast snow. And up the snow amounts. That's a rumor. Don't know if it's true or not. I'll let you decide that. Anyway, let's talk about the chance for severe weather on the first day of winter. Sounds ironic, but actually it makes a lot of sense here in Kentuckiana. It's the way it goes around here. Here we go with the latest on the radar. You can see the low-level jet really kicking in now across areas of southern Indiana. Look at that flow here of heavier rain developing around the IU campus. That's going to lock in for the overnight period. It's not going to move much north or south. It'll be in that same spot. So this is the area that's was concerning for the potential for flooding. That'll also be the zone that's going to get that 5-inch total probably of rainfall before this entire event is over with. It's pretty spotty south of that boundary and nearly absent across Kentucky, but that will change once we head into the overnight, because let me show you what's ahead of us here. Showers breaking out now in Missouri into Arkansas into West Tennessee. That is what's going to surge in here. This is going to be our portion of the flow as we head to the next 6 hours. So 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, it's really going to ramp up here along the Ohio River and southward, and at times it could be locally heavy. But by all means, that low-level jet is locked in here in Indiana. That is the zone that is going to get plummeted with heavy rain all night long tonight, and is the most concerning area for flash flooding and river flooding in the coming days. Let me take you further to the south and west. You see all that pink action here. That is actually ice developing in Arkansas, and even some freezing rain potentially developing around the Dallas area overnight tonight. So they're watching that. They're also watching the potential for a tornado watch. It may come out in Arkansas. If you look carefully, there are some cells here that are colliding. That southerly flow is colliding with the westerly flow aloft. And when these two meet up, you're getting a little bit of a spinning motion that is developing there across areas of Arkansas. And they may issue a tornado watch with that effect. Very brief spin-ups. They only last for maybe 10 minutes and they're over with if they even develop. Our main low, though, is actually still way over here into areas of Texas. And the storm is now emerging out of Mexico, so the radars in Texas are now able to pick up on the southern flank of this. This is where the cold front will be when it actually moves in for tomorrow night. But look at that moisture flow. This is remarkable to see this. You can see it really just feeding off the Gulf of Mexico. That's a lot of moisture being sucked right into the system, and that's what we're talking about, a lot of rain potentially in the coming days. Here's the latest model run. It just updated. Let me take you step by step through this. Now, it's already locking in, so the model is already doing well on verifying the current band setup, although the band is a little further north than what is shown here, but it's pretty close to where it's forecast to be. For the overnight hours through the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning, you see we got bands still of heavier rain right across the I-64 corridor and northward is the target area for constant rain. And then as we head into the afternoon, and we've been talking about this past couple days, the idea that we would see a dry slot develop on the Kentucky side of the system. And if that happens, you will easily reach 70 degrees, if not higher, if the clouds can even thin out. And if you look carefully, there's a little bit of thinning showing up on the forecast satellite, so I wouldn't rule that out. So very warm, very windy. Winds will be howling here at the southwest as we head into tomorrow afternoon. Then, as we head into 5:30 in the afternoon on Saturday, we look westbound to see what is going to happen out here. When is this line going to get organized and tighten up and become more of a squall line and move toward us? And that's going to determine the timing, because if it tightens up quick enough, it'll move fast. So right now the models are saying around, say, 9:30. Other models are a little slower than that. But in general, between 7 o'clock in the evening through the 1 a.m. time frame, there is going to be a line that's going to form, and it will race in our direction here with the potential for high winds. I do think the further north you go in the line, the weaker the line will be. So this portion of the line here, I don't think it's going to be that bad. Maybe some gusty winds. I doubt you'll get a warning on that. But this portion of the line will likely have a few warnings with it and maybe even an isolated spin-up of a tornado. So we've got to watch that carefully. So if you're along and south of Interstate 64, I think you're in that zone. You need to be paying careful attention tomorrow night to the radar and trends in the forecast. And then the rain's out of here and we calm things down as we end to Sunday. How much rain? Models are still honing on the idea of that band that's forming there off to the north, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. I think that's a good call here on this model run, and roughly about 2 to 2.5 here in the Louisville area. I like that. And a little bit lighter amounts to the south because you get that dry slotted Saturday afternoon, and I like that. So overall, I think these totals are pretty close to what we'll end up with. for the entire event in the area. Now, let me show you the NAM model. I showed you this other night, and it was the first to pick out in the idea of that dry slotting that would take place. Well, here's what it looks like in one of the latest runs. And sure enough, it's showing it again in the afternoon on Saturday. It gets right up to I-64, and then we see the thunderstorms develop as we into 4 o'clock in the morning. You see the difference in the timing I was talking about. The other model said 9:30 in the evening. This one says 4 a.m. I think it's going to be closer to that 9:30 window. I don't think it'll take that long to really get the line going, but it's going to be very close to news time for the 11 o'clock news Saturday night, just FYI. But you can see it's picking up that line, and again, it's mainly along 64. Southward is the most intense part. I do like that look. I think that's a good call on that. It does stretch out a little bit more to the north and east, but it's more of a heavy rain that develops here. The strongest wind still will stay to the south of it. And then it's over with. Let me show you the GFS. It's updating in about 45 minutes, but this is the last update we had earlier this evening. And it showed it's a different looking model because it has a different grid, but you can see how it does show the dry slot and then the showers and storms. It also says 4 a.m. before everything comes to an end. Having said all that, there is still a slight risk from the Storm Prediction Center. They will update this around the midnight hour for tonight. We'll let you know and post it as soon as it comes out. Slight risk for damaging winds and even an isolated tornado threat is certainly there, although I still think the threat is on 64 and southward for the main concern, a lesser degree as you head toward north of that line. Also, there is a wind advisory that is in effect. Just this low pressure in general. You saw that flow coming out of the Houston area in Texas and Louisiana. Just that strong flow in itself is going to produce winds close to 40 miles per hour as the system moves by. So wind advisory has been posted. So that's it. That's that system. We have a flood watch too in effect, by the way. So since I ate Twix, let me go and talk about the wintry side of things to feed the snow geese here a little bit. 35 below zero right now in Canada, and it's so cold in here that there's not even a color scale to color it in. But very cold in Canada. The cold is reloading here across the provinces of Canada into the Arctic Circle. You've got to do this every now and then to really get that cold air to build up. People don't like warm-ups in wintertime. They go, oh, no, it's going to warm up. Winter's over. You cannot get an extremely wild winter or snow and cold air unless you warm up every now and then in the lower 48, including here. So warm-ups are not a bad thing. And if you love snow and cold weather, because the cold is reloaded, and guess what? It's ready now. It's ready to make its entrance back into the United States. We start to see signs of that as early as next week, although there's not enough storm activity to really get the system going really well for winter storms. The storm this weekend is taking a lot out of the atmosphere. But this is New Year's Eve. Shows an Arctic front moving in across the Great Lakes. Likely will be an area of low pressure that's going to develop here over the Gulf states. And this should tighten up a little more and produce a snowfall New Year's Eve or New Year's Day in the area. It's hard to tell how strong this low will be yet, so it's hard to tell snow amounts. Obviously, can't even forecast that far in detail, but there is at least potential of a storm, a southern storm developing around New Year's. We'll watch it. But look at this. Toward the early week of January, it's getting confused here on where there's going to be a low pressure. It shows one over here, shows one developing here. This far out, it's not uncalled or unheard of to do that. The models get confused with a southern jet stream like this. But look at the cold air. I mean, this is minus 20 degrees Celsius air aloft that is dropping down. That is the polar vortex, folks. That is the Arctic Circle moving into the United States. That means some brutally cold air will get involved as we get into January. Now, the bad news about that, you got to be careful. Just like in 1989, we had a polar vortex that moved down like this. And guess what happened? All the storms went way south and all the snow fell on the Gulf states and missed Kentucky completely. Boy, that's nothing more frustrating than see a snow lover see that happen. But you want cold air. You don't want too much because then you've kind of smashed the flow down too far. So there you have it. That's the storm this weekend. We'll be here watching it. Ryan Hoke will be in first thing in the morning. Make sure to tune in to sunrise in the morning. Set your alarms and get up and check things out because there will be heavy rain in the morning hours. And then Christy Dutton, who's been feeling under the weather, hopefully she's back tomorrow. We'll fill you in on what's happening tomorrow night. I'll let you know how things are progressing with that severe weather threat, and if it gets really bad, I'll be joining as well. So that's how things are stacking up as we head through the next 24 to 36 hours. Not a major event, but it does bear watching. All right, I'll see you tonight at 11 o'clock. Got another model run to take a look at, and I'll have those maps coming up on the newscast. Have a good one.